My name is John Kelly. If you're watching this, you may be wrestling with an uncomfortable question. What does this case mean in dollars? In this chapter, we'll talk about how damages work in vulnerable adult abuse and neglect cases, economic losses, non-economic harm, and the themes that tend to drive high-value outcomes. Now, as an attorney, I know the economic damages are only half of the story, sometimes less, because the heart of these cases is really the non-economic harm. So what are some of the high case value themes? What drives the serious exposure? We can talk about what tends to make these cases a high value, because if you're like me, you need to spot these themes early, and if you're a family member, you deserve to know why some cases create more leverage than others. So the first theme we'll talk about, deep pressure injuries, especially when infected, a stage 3 or stage 4 pressure injury, especially if there is an infection, sepsis and hospitalization, and these often create signals that we see of prolonged neglect and system failure. It's not just the wound, it's what the wound represents. And that's what drives the damages of missed repositioning, missed skin checks, missed hygiene, missed nutrition, missed escalation. The second theme that we'll talk about is malnutrition and dehydration with documented weight loss. When a resident loses significant weight and develops repeated infections, becomes lethargic, and then crashes, the defense can try to call it a decline, but a documented weight loss trend is a measurable story. It is neglect that can be graphed. Another theme that we can talk about is medication over sedation and falls. When a facility uses medication as a substitute for staffing, and the resident then falls or aspirates, the jury understands the moral math. They choose convenience over safety. The fourth theme, resident-on-resident violence with known prior incidents. If there were prior incidents and the facility did not change supervision, room placement, or staffing, then the harm is not unexpected. It's foreseeable. We'll talk about the fifth theme, elopement, especially with serious injury or death, are often a high case value because the public intuitively understands a locked memory care unit is supposed to prevent wandering out. If a person walks out, systems have failed. Another theme 6, is sexual assault. Sexual assault in a care setting is one of the most devastating violations imaginable. These cases often involve profound non-economic damages, and they can open doors to punitive exposure and system claims about hiring screening, the supervision that they had, and reporting failures. Theme 7 for damages is wrongful death with clear chain. When the case narrative is clean, failure to turn leads to pressure injury, leads to infection, leads to sepsis and death. It can become a powerful story of preventable suffering. If you have a loved one who's a vulnerable adult, and after listening to the video, have questions, we handle these cases throughout the nation, and we're happy to consult with you. If you'd like to talk to us, please call us at Kelly Law Team at 602-283-4122.